I'm ready.
All right, thanks for your patience. We do have a quorum here. Mr. Alberici, would you mind kicking off the meeting for us, please?
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome to the December 18th meeting of the PRAB. Call to order. Who is Stephanie? Not Morgan.
Present.
Allison.
Present.
Scott.
Here.
Scott is on his way, right?
He'll be here momentarily.
And Ralph, not here. So let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the meeting agenda. If we would like to move item 8A up under public comment, and as well as 8B and 9A. Are those the three items that we'd like to move up under public comment? If there is a motion for that.
I make a motion to move 8A, 8B, and 9A under public comment.
A motion by Morgan,
I will second that.
second by Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Approval of the past meeting notes that staff has prepared for us. If there are any questions from the meeting on October the 16th. If there are no questions or concerns, I'll take a motion to approve those.
I move to approve the past meeting minutes.
Excellent. Motion by Ellison, second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome, Scott.
Hello.
We did move a few things, and I will turn it over to you. We are,
You can keep going.
we just approved the last meeting notes.
Okay, awesome. Super. Well, glad to be here. Sorry for the little delay.
Mr. Chairman, we did move items 8A, 8B, and 9A up because we have visitors today.
Awesome. So let's move to public comment. Is there any public comment?
We do not have any public comment, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing none, then we will move to item 8A, consideration of a youth competitive cheer and adult hip hop program.
Yeah, good afternoon.
You need yours.
I'd like to present, Mrs. Walton. She is from Paulding County. Currently, she teaches classes over there at the Paulding County Parks and Rec. She would like to bring classes over here with the hip hop and jazz, like adult classes, along with a cheer class, for youth. So, go right ahead.
So I'm Ladrina Walton. That's me in that picture at 2 years old in my tap shoes. I've been dancing for a while now. Actually, I'm gonna try.
Yeah, old school.
Okay. And so, like I said, that's me at age 2. I am from San Francisco, California, was born and raised there, and learned to love dance there. So I was professionally trained by a studio that was local to my neighborhood. And so I learned tap, jazz, ballet, creative, acro, gymnastics, you name it, I did it. And I've kept dance and fitness as a passion of mine and hobby of mine throughout the years. And so my philosophy is really to keep fitness fun. Dance is a fun way to keep folks healthy. And so I want to bring that here to the Milton community. And that's me doing a 5K with the lovely Golden Gate Bridge in the background. And so that's me as a cheerleader. I've been a dancer, a cheerleader, a teacher, and a business owner. And so I have taught children in different styles of dance, ballet, tap, jazz for many years, but also had a time period where I started my own company and would teach adults as well. And so I've had the training, had the experience, and always found it to be really rewarding and great for community building. You meet people in these classes and become friends in these classes. And so I think it would do really well here. It's done well in Paulding, as Matthew mentioned. And so here, what I'd like to offer is kids cheer. We can start as young as 3 and go all the way up to age 13. The classes would be about 50 minutes. And they would learn chants and steps and dances. I provide the pom-poms. And what I usually do is allow an opportunity for a showcase at the end of a session so that parents can come, they invite friends and family, and we just make it a lot of fun. And they show off everything that they've learned in a session. And then with the adult hip hop fitness, we would go an hour, and it's 18 and older. So the parents of those kids cheer classes could join. And this is just fun, judgment free, high energy. We're going to play everyone's favorite songs and just allow them to have fitness and dance and get a good workout, make friends. And yeah, I think it would do really well. I'm looking forward to offering it here. And so, yeah, I'm bringing brand new activities to Milton. I'm confident that I can replicate the success that I've had in Paulding County and look forward to learning from and growing with this community. Do folks have questions?
Thanks, Ladrina, for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Input, questions?
Did you say how many you like numbers wise? Do you cap a number for the classes to keep it under?
You know what? That's actually a great question. So I don't have a cap, but minimum we'd like to do 4.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how often are the lessons? Once a week?
Mhm.
Okay.
Once a week, and we'll go for 5 weeks per session.
5 weeks.
And probably safe to assume this would be something we do at the MCPP?
Yeah, we could do it there. We could do it at Bethwell, any of our indoor spaces.
Sure.
And
Okay.
Do we as a board see any conflict with our current cheer programs?
That was going to be my question. Anything with
Staff
the NAFL?
has contacted the football program, and I didn't see any conflict there because this is more of like a class outside, I called it competitive in the staff memo. It's not necessarily competitive cheer, but it's, would you say it's kind of structured more like that style, but more
It's structured
recreational?
like a dance class, but
Yeah.
it's cheer in the sense that they're using pom-poms and learning chants and learning routines, but they would only be competing against themselves in the class.
They're not going to a
And-
game.
Yeah.
Right.
No, they're not doing
It's not the
sideline.
family
It
environment.
could be supplemental to
That's
that.
right.
They
If
could-
anything, I
Football.
see it as a program that could support our sideline cheer program.
Yeah.
The kids could go into that program from.
Well, and I
from this
believe NAFL doesn't start until they're older, so this would open up opportunity for our younger
Yeah.
children
Yeah.
as well.
And it's year round.
which
So
is
you
very
could-
cool.
You could stick with it.
I think it sounds great. I think cheer is obviously a big thing up here.
Mhm.
So being able to offer it locally and to the younger children, I think is great.
Okay, wonderful.
Ladrina, I came
Yes.
late, so apologize since I'm getting my head around. Go back to the pricing for a moment.
Mhm.
Is the pricing for a set of sessions or each session?
Per session.
Okay.
So you get 5 weeks for this price.
For that price?
Mhm.
Got
And
it.
then the drop-in
Mhm.
price is
Gotcha.
35 for the adult hip hop one.
Mhm.
So there wouldn't be a drop-in for the kids because that's more structured, right?
Right,
Got it.
right.
That helps. Thank
Mhm.
you.
But adults might want to come and try it out first. And so this is a way to just get them introduced to it.
Right. Having been someone who commutes around Atlanta at times in my work, why Milton from Paulding?
It did well in Paulding, and I kind of just threw the fillers out everywhere, and I got such a great response here from Tom and Matthew, and so I just said, why not? Yeah, I think it'll do well here.
Great, great.
Would
Other
you be
que-
doing it yourself or, okay, so you'll be doing it in both places?
Mhm.
And that's nothing you're concerned about being able to handle? Okay,
Yeah. Mhm.
great.
Other questions, comments? Guess we'd entertain a motion.
I will make a motion for staff to continue conversations to, I forgot the name there, the Youth Competitive Cheer Program.
I'll second that.
Motion by Jason, second by Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Good luck, Ladrina.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. Okay, next item is under new business 8B, a project update on Legacy Park's parking lot improvement. A fan favorite topic of this board.
Oh, you know it.
Mr. Chairman and the board, I do have Scott Teacock here, and he is the PM over this project. And I figured, especially with it being a noon meeting, it's a great opportunity for him to kind of share where he's at and get some feedback from the board on a couple of recreation specific components that you can maybe provide some feedback on.
I don't think this is it. He's
You
got
have the mouse on the other side.
Oh, okay, I do.
Okay, good morning or afternoon, depending on what side of the fence you land on. I'm Scott Takacha, I'm your city engineer. For those of you who don't know me, so I'm doing an update on Legacy. I'm also going to hit another agenda item and do an update on MCPP active and passive parks. So starting with Legacy, we have retained professional design services for this. So we've completed a 30% conceptual plan for the project. There was a lot of iterations that we had around different things. A lot of discussions internally with staff as well as with our engineers. The scope of services for that includes the removal and replacement of the asphalt, the existing parking lot, drainage enhancements. We're going to actually increase the size of the drainage facility out there to be able to handle the regulated 100-year storm event. Increasing the number of parking stalls from 75 to 127, installing a new septic system for the bathrooms, installing a secured fence for the maintenance equipment and material, installing a concrete dumpster pad and enclosure, and installing a memorial wall and a memorial wall and a knee-high wall between the two fields. And then we also want to look at a concrete sidewalk from the parking lot to that knee-high wall. And I would like to ask for some input on both the memorial wall and the knee-high wall. And finally, the conceptual cost for this is $1,176,114, an increase of $371,171. That's 40% from the initial cost of roughly $800K. So we were a little shocked. We anticipate some of that is just due to instability in the market and escalating costs. It's to be expected. So this kind of shows a layout of the parking lot. I'm sorry for the bifurcating the plan, but that's how the engineering plans came in. So you can kind of see that we're looking at a dumpster pad in here, looking at securing an area for equipment and storage of materials in this area, redoing the septic field out here. We still have to do a percolation test to ensure that we have the right geologic conditions to be able to percolate that at the required rates. We will be putting backstops along the parking lot here to ensure that nobody drives onto the fields. And then this kind of shows the termination of the parking area here. The idea would be that we would like a sidewalk that would be contiguous from this parking lot all the way to the memorial wall, just for ease of access. And this is probably as good a time as any to talk about the bench seating here so that people can look at either side of that. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like it, don't like it?
There needs to be seating there. I do like the idea, if there's a way to do it where you could sit on it and watch either field, that makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, you're factoring in the slope there. I don't know exactly what that looks like or how you execute, but yeah, definitely love the idea of seating there.
Okay, good. Yeah, we want to make sure it drains.
Yes.
So we're
That's
looking
important.
at that.
Okay, good.
And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up was the memorial wall, which we're anticipating is kind of in this area here. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more. So we're looking at this area probably or potentially for the location. Tom has got some graphics over to my engineers from some previous discussions about what that wall would look like, but I just wanted to give the board an opportunity to make any comments or if you have any questions on what that should look like or any thoughts on it, I would love to hear your ideas.
And that's right off the bathroom there? Was that?
Yeah, so this would be the
Move back.
building here, so
Yeah.
it would be close to the bathroom. Access here, in here.
I think that location makes sense. I know initially we had discussed having it further down by the fields, but that might be a little more disruptive. I don't know. I don't know how you incorporate that down there. So I do feel like that area and closer to the building that's already there for the restrooms probably does make sense. And then people, I guess, pass it as they're coming and going.
Right. And the thinking is you'd probably get a little more traffic, a little more visibility in that location, which is why we
Right.
moved it from the south,
Yeah.
further north.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good
Cool.
with that.
Then I want to share with you the drainage concept. So we're going to grade the parking lot. So stormwater runoff will drain this direction down to a catch basin here. We'll have a catch basin that runs all the way the length of the parking lot and then would discharge into the existing pond. I know some of the engineering schematics can be a little challenging to interpret sometimes, but basically what this is showing is that we're actually going to over excavate this area to increase the size of this pond. And we now will have two cells, this northern cell and a southern cell. And the reason we're doing that is because we're required to provide some level of water quality. And so the idea is that sediment that would be coming off the parking lot would get deposed in the first cell, and then water would come up to a certain level, go over the weir, and then would come down into the rest of the facility. And from a maintenance perspective, it will make it easier for the Parks Department to maintain it because they'll only have to take sediment out of this cell, say once every couple of years, maybe 5 years, probably never in the southern cell. And then the water will come into here. Currently, we are discharging a lot of the drainage here onto this gentleman's property in Alpharetta to the south. We met with that gentleman a year ago. He was super cool, invited me to come back and drink whiskey on his porch, which I may take him up on one of these days after I retire next year. But the idea is that the water is going to overflow here, come into here, and then would come through the rest of the drainage facility here and would discharge. At this point in the park, this goes into an existing creek that's owned by the city of Roswell. And so I'm setting up a meeting with them to make sure that they don't have any issues with that. But we are required to ensure that the discharge rate equals the post-discharge rate, hence the reason for the detention facility. So don't mean to insult anybody's intelligence there with that, but just wanted to point that out. And with that, I would like to open it up for any questions on legacy.
I don't really have any questions. I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Excited for it to get underway.
Yeah, let me see, I missed one other thing. So we recently got through our 60% design for this project. And so this is trucking right along. I'm hoping to have the design complete in probably February and then put it out to bid.
Just out of curiosity, where is the current septic on that property?
That's a great question. So the current septic is pretty much in the same area,
Okay.
but we believe that the septic system is at the end of its service life. And then with some of the enhancements that they've already done in the bathroom, we wanted to make sure that it had adequate capacity for the next 15 to 20 years.
Got it.
The existing the drainage field is underneath the parking lot. So
Got it.
for many years, heavy vehicles have been driving over it.
Okay.
So
Perfect. Which is not good for it.
Yeah, I think-
Just
I
what the
think-
field needs.
Yeah.
And then just also out of curiosity, the drainage that's in the actual parking lot, what does that look like? Is there like a gentle slope that'll happen?
Yes, that's another great question. So if you look at these contours, we're grading it so that the drainage will run to the south. And you have catch basins, periodically along that system to pick up the runoff. with the last one being down here. And so the idea is that you're incrementally picking up that runoff and
Got it.
conveying it to this point. There's an outfall here. We're going to do some riprap so that we don't have erosion issues there. And then again, the idea is that this will fill up and then overflow into this area and then eventually discharge down
Got
here.
it. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So that concludes, I think, this agenda item.
Yeah, looks great, Scott. Thank
great.
you.
For that update.
You betcha.
Through all that, our HOA.
Feel free to move ahead to the next item.
Okay, great.
Milton Parks and Preserve.
That's what I was waiting for. Thank you. I'll deal with the passive park first. We are anticipating that construction will be substantially complete by the end of December of 2025. And again, not meaning to insult anybody's intelligence. It doesn't mean that we are 100% done with the project, but we've got enough of the infrastructure put in that we're ready to begin the closeout process. So we had to request an extension from September to December. I've asked for another extension that went on council last night to extend it through June. We really probably only needed another 3 months, but the state recommended we asked for 6 months. So we still have to deal with some land. We got to do some additional landscaping. We have to deal with the punch list item. We've got to get the Department of Natural Resources to come out and do a field visit to sign off on it. And we're also holding the contract open until we get the final reimbursement of the $1.5 million grant. And so that's the reasons for the extension, but I just wanted you guys to be aware that we are substantially complete by the end of this month, which is great. We did close the trail because we had a lot of construction activity and we didn't want any accidents with pedestrians. We anticipate that we'll probably be looking at opening the trails back up in mid-January, certainly by the end of January, for both of the phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3. So as previously stated, we still have the work to be completed. We have to address any punch list items, conduct the final walkthrough with the DNR. We are installing some additional landscaping on phase 1 that was requested by the residents during one of the public open meetings. And we're really glad that we had some flexibility and we built some owner's contingency into the contract so that we could deal with things like this. And so I'm really proud of what the phase 1 is going to look like. And just to kind of jump ahead, if I can, for those, if you need reference, phase 1 is this area in here where we constructed this, 3 years ago, Tom, I think?
What's that?
Phase 1, how long ago did we do phase 1?
yeah, it's
About 3 years ago. And if you've been out there, you may have noticed that there's been some drainage issues out there and the trail's kind of eroding away. So we're actually going to raise that entire trail up so that we get positive drainage. The idea is that you kind of crown it so that the water runs off on each side. We're doing some work in the ditches on the other side. Phase 2 begins here, goes around the lakes, goes down Chicken Creek or adjacent to Chicken Creek. And then we put in a multi-use 10-foot wide, 12-foot wide multi-use path along Dinsmore, and there's some landscaping that's still happening there. So we're excited about that. As I mentioned earlier, we've already applied for 98.5% of the 1.5 million grant reimbursement. So we're wrapping that up. When it's completed, the trail will be approximately 2.5 miles. And again, we built in kind of loops. So if people just want to come down this phase 1 and turn around, they can, or phase 2, they can. So we're trying to make it a little more user-friendly from that perspective. And we will be installing some historic signage, benches, garbage cans, pet waste stations. That was part of the grant. I kind of had a oops moment when I thought, oh, we're getting ready to close the project out and we haven't really done anything with the historic signage. And I'm like, what's historic about it? Apparently, Chicken Creek was named after an Indian family with the last name of Chicken. And so I've engaged Bill Lusk, some of you may know him, to engage the Historic Society. So they're going to give us some graphics and some verbiage that we'll want to put on the signage. And here's just a few pictures. This is showing an example of the boardwalks. I think we have 8 or 9 of those total. We removed a lot of the drainage infrastructure that was no longer functioning and replaced it with these ditches and these weirs. So the idea is that as water's now draining down these open ditches, They'll have a little waterfall, which introduces dissolved oxygen into the water, which improves the water quality, comes through and does that a couple more times. So, and the other, so it improves the water quality, but it also has a much, much larger capacity than it did with just the storm pipes. Another thing that we did is we hydraulically connected the two ponds. And so those will be at an equal water surface elevation now. We also put a dock out there and a little pier so people can fish out there. And my understanding, talking to Jen, is they're probably going to stock that. I think they've done that previously, but I think they're going to continue.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Great. Just carp or what? That was a joke.
We got free
Good.
Milton paid for the prize fish.
There are a few bass in there because when I wasn't down there, when I wasn't supposed to be, I caught it. I caught it.
Don't incriminate yourself.
So finally, when we get to a point that we've really addressed a lot of the punch list stuff, we'll be having a ribbon cutting event. So obviously we'll make sure you guys are invited to that and are aware of it in case you guys want to participate in that. Finally, the Milton Park and Preserve active project. We have completed a 30% conceptual design already. We have been through a lot of discussion with that. Just to refresh your memory, we're replacing the existing parking lot into tennis courts. We're installing an observation area for the tennis courts, doing drainage enhancements for the parking lot and the tennis courts. One of the cool things that we were able to do is because of the massive infrastructure that we're putting in for the passive park, we don't have to provide detention because we can just route it through everything that we've done in the passive park. So that saves some money. Unfortunately, with the current layout right now, and this is something I'd be interested in getting some feedback from the board on, is we with the new parking lot layout, we've actually decreased the number of parking stalls from 133 to 128. And the reason we did that is we have a community development requirement to add landscaping. If we wanted to, we could ask for a variance and say we don't want any landscaping. But my understanding is that the additional parking was desiresome to facilitate parking during about a half a dozen swim events during the year. And so if you guys have some thoughts about parking versus landscaping, I'd love to hear it.
Which 5 spots are we talking
I
about?
couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you off the
Okay.
top of my head, but if you really want, I can find out and get back to you.
My suggestion is more parking is always better.
I think the expectation of the neighborhood behind it is going to be more parking because, I know it's only, really 3 swim meets that are held there that we hold home meets, but the entire street is packed with cars. When we're swimming bigger teams, when we swim Alpharetta and they come over here, or we swim some of the big neighborhoods, some people are walking a mile to get to the pool. So, I think I'm not sure what you can get in there. If you're only cutting out 5 and there's not going to be more, I'm not sure what you would add would be meaningful. So it may just be a limitation of the space, but I was hoping for more spots.
I was too, respectfully. We got an earful from the public when we had our public meeting on it. And so I'm very aware of the concerns out there. I will have a conversation with community development and see if we can ask for a waiver to not do the landscaping if you want to, but that also is an aesthetics thing. And to your point, it's, we'd be
If it's
losing
5
5
spots,
spots.
I don't see the point.
Okay.
But if it's, if you were putting 40 more spots,
Right.
then
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
one thing. But I think I'd rather have the aesthetics than 5 spots,
Okay.
I would agree with that.
even though I'm kind of, we need
You need more. parking.
parking.
We do. And I appreciate the feedback because I know I'm going to get asked by the mayor. So thank you.
Do you know for a fact if you were to request the variance, it would only add 5, or is there a possibility that there could be additional parking spots?
What I'm saying is, let me give you a graphic to help
I
demonstrate.
think it's with the islands, the existing site just loses 5 spots.
So if we took out, you can see we have several islands in here. If we took
Right.
all of those out, we would only gain another 5.
Oh, wow.
And so again,
I see.
my
Mhm.
personal opinion, and I'm very careful to not offer my opinions,
Mhm.
but I think you're going to want some aesthetics out there.
Yeah, okay.
And
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
we can ask for a variance from community development. Doesn't mean that they're going to grant it.
Right. Okay, if that's where they're coming from, okay, now that helps for the visual.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, you're
it
right. I
is.
don't know that it would
Yeah.
really matter to lose all that.
I mean, I'm still going to give my engineers the direction, like squeeze as many parking stalls
Of
out here as you
course,
possibly
sure.
can. So it's possible we might get a few more back, but
Well, that's a double-edged sword too, because we've packed that parking lot so full during meets that we've had complaints about people hitting cars and,
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, I mean, there's a balance between, if you're gonna gain a couple of extra spots, but you're gonna have more complaints because people are backing into
Right.
people or side swiping
that.
cars, then it's probably not worth it.
right. Yeah, we definitely want to design a safe facility. We're also looking at moving the ADA spots up here so they're a little closer to the building.
Mhm.
That was good. Here's the location of the pavilion. There will be probably a series of 2 to 3 small retaining walls. When I say small, I mean 3 to maybe 4 feet high. I think we've got about a 12-foot differential between the elevation of this proposed tennis court and Dinsmore Road. So rather than one giant ugly wall, we're going to do something that's tiered and probably landscaped so it looks a little bit nicer. We're also looking at doing an underground drainage system through here, so you won't see it, but collecting it. We did look at routing it through here, but the impacts to the landscaping were just not palatable. It would have been ugly, and we knew this board wouldn't support it, and the residents wouldn't support it. So we're looking at doing that. Currently, the drainage kind of comes through this area here. We're potentially looking at picking up the drainage and connecting it to something that runs down through here, but we haven't quite finished the hydrologic or the drainage analysis yet to be able to prove that, but my engineers are working on it. Additionally, we are looking at installing a playground area in here, and then adding some turf in this area here, because we originally put the playground in here and Tom said, well, we don't want to obstruct the view from the clubhouse, which I appreciated. So
Is there still a plan for a pavilion, or has that been?
yeah, it's right here. To observe the
No, behind the clubhouse.
oh,
That's a future,
Aspirational.
yeah.
And remind me, the current orientation of the tennis courts?
so they kind of mirror this one right here. So we tried to get all of the tennis courts. I
There were
think
4 next to each other, or there's 4 right now, right?
there's 4 right now.
Right,
Yeah,
next to each other, they're
Right.
like,
correct.
so this is offsetting,
Yes.
this
So
is completely tearing those out and
correct.
putting 3 new sets in?
Yes,
Or-
so the orientation is going to be 1, 2, 3. We wanted to have the orientation for this third one to match these 2, but we couldn't make it work with some of the drainage and some of the grading. It was just too cost prohibitive. And we
Mhm.
did go through a pretty substantial value engineering process on this and just made a decision it was better just to resurface this. keep it in
Okay,
its
so
current
and
condition.
it's probably a setback issue too, as far as.
Correct. Exactly.
Because there was a question about the orientation, right? When Terry first discussed this, that
Mhm.
something about the sun and the angle. and
Yeah,
this
it's
correct-
like 12.5
Yeah.
degrees off.
Yeah. I
north or
remember
something.
some discussion that they needed to be turned. So 2 out of 3 are getting the proper
And
orientation.
we've had conversations with Terry, and he's okay with leaving that one
Yeah.
pair.
Yeah, we're actually turning this one into a
More
pickleball
courts.
court.
Well, and the way
That was
you're
a joke,
doing it,
don't kill
it's
me.
less impact, it's less impact on the neighbors too, the way you're doing it.
Right.
Yeah, that was really the driving thing, is if we had done the orientation, we'd be taking these trees out. There would have had to have been some retaining walls to hold it up. It was just very expensive. We thought,
And
no,
you'd
just
have
leave it.
2 or 3 more meetings to talk about taking the trees down.
Wow.
Scott, I'm curious, where does your overflow parking go today for your big meets?
Down the street.
Down the local street that
Mhm.
used to parallel the
Yeah,
fairways.
one side of the
down there.
street,
Yep.
There's a system now, so there's a lot less complaints than there
Yeah.
used to be. I mean, we police it a little bit.
Yeah, we have
better now.
PSAs and officers that roll through, and in fact, typically there's a PSA that just drives through the neighborhood the entire event.
Yep.
And make sure people are parking legally.
Really?
Yeah, and there's nothing you could do to give this adequate parking for those 3 days. I
Right.
mean, there's
Is
just,
there, that shortcut still exists? It used to be the cart path to the first, so how do they
No.
get from the street into
they
the,
walk up,
they gotta go all the way around?
Yeah.
It's more.
They walk up Dinsmore, yeah.
We gave away the right of way for that sidewalk, a cart path that used
Right.
to go.
Yep.
Well, I
Gotcha.
It's-
think they
it's
had
clo-
the
it's
right to
closed off.
claim it back, right? I
What's
mean,
that?
the neighbors had the right to claim that back, right, at the time the course was closed. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it
Seems-
works.
Seems like it's an interesting conversation around for 3 times a year. Would you get it back or something that you could,
Probably not. I don't think anybody's gonna budge.
but I hear you. I mean, in Crooked Creek, it's to say it's a long walk from the farthest point. If you show up late to the meet, you're,
Well, in
I get
most, a lot of places we swim, it's that way. Like,
Yep.
there's a couple places we would walk even farther.
yeah. I
Like
get
you're
it.
a mile and a quarter, mile and a
Yeah.
half.
It's hard for a low frequency event kind of thing
Mhm.
to make accommodation.
Well, and as we get bigger and we've been more successful, then we are swimming larger pools and
Yep.
just part of it. And we eat up part of the parking lot for the visiting team because we don't have the deck space either. So when on swim meet days, the parking lot's not this big.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
Another option that had been discussed is, if I go back to the passive park, we've done a lot of work to improve the ingress egress here. And there could be an opportunity to maybe do some gravel parking lot down here somewhere, and you could shuttle people from this parking lot up to the facility.
I don't even think that would, I think the street parking, unless, some promises were made to the neighborhood. I think the street parking is probably just as good or better than
Okay,
that.
Gotcha.
cool.
I mean, I'd be happy to ask Beth and Stephanie what they think.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know. As I previously stated, we'll be installing playground areas south of the community center, and then we'll be installing new lighting for the tennis courts and the parking lot. Conceptual cost for this improvement was roughly 2.6 million. And again, as previously stated, staff has valued and engineered this project a lot. We've had a lot of different iterations, a lot of discussions, a lot of costing out options. And so I feel pretty good about where we landed. I'm anticipating getting 60% plans for this January 13th of 2026. And we are also anticipating probably completing the design in March. One of the things that Tom has asked us to do is to not let the contractor start work until the end of August, I believe. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yeah, we were thinking about just having it after summer season's over with them. We got summer camp and then the pool, and just if we're gonna delay past summer camp, we might as well just let the pool season run out and then start construction. Hopefully within days after the pool
Yeah,
closes.
be all queued up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we need an extension from DNR to be able to do that, and we've submitted it. We're just waiting to hear back.
Got it.
And the thinking is we're going to go ahead and bid the project and get a contractor on board, because you want to fill up the contractor's punch card because it gets more expensive later in the season. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then another thing of note is we did conduct a public meeting July 1st of 2025. It was not as well attended as I had hoped. I think we only had about maybe 12, 15 people show up, but we got some good feedback from the public on that. And then again, here's a cartoon of what the improvements are going to look like. And then here's a graphic of conceptually what the playground is going to look like. And I believe there's a grant for this one too, right, Tom?
Yes.
Is there a timeline on that one too?
Well, it's included in we had funding that was provided by children's charities.
So this is the all-inclusive plan?
No, it's not. It's not. This will be it'll have an inclusive component on it. That's what Children's Charity kind of donated towards the project for. But it'll be more of your standard playground with a couple of components that are just going to be on the outskirts of it.
And it
it's
will
gonna
be
small.
pushed as far to the right behind the pool as possible?
It'll be behind the
away
pool,
from-
yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to save for two reasons. One, I know you're referring to swim team and the staging area back there.
Well,
for the
and
home.
a future pavilion to have that
Yeah,
view.
and also it gives us a green space for summer camp
Mhm.
as well. If you throw it right in the middle of the back, there's no play
Yeah.
area for the kids. So we're trying to tuck it as far behind the pool as we
Well,
can.
and there's drainage issues you need to fix probably over there anyway, so.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for those of you that are my age, I don't remember if you remember, but when we were kids, like we had metal slides that landed in concrete. So
Exposed balls. Yeah.
anyways, that wraps up my presentations. I'll open it up for questions or comments, if any.
I'm just gonna say around the ponds looks great.
Mm.
Like, it looks, I'm happy to hear that the landscaping is gonna be improved on the first phase to match kind of the bottom phase. Cause I was impressed with all of the trees that were planted and the way everything's coming together.
Good.
The one question I would ask, so you said they stocked our free catfish. Were those fingerlings like they were the first time? They were bigger? How big? Okay, are we gonna do bass and bluegill in those ponds as well?
Yeah, we have to work on the contract with our fish supplier because we put fountains in both of the ponds.
Yeah.
And
I haven't
so
seen
those will require maintenance annually. And as they're the company that's installing it,
Mhm.
hopefully they'll be able to maintain it as well. But they would be our fish supplier. So they would shock the pond for us, do an assessment. They'll come
Call
out
me.
and do quarterly
I wanna be there.
water quality testing, and then they'll do vegetation management.
And we'll engage them for probably all of the Milton ponds that we
Yeah,
have
so
control over.
the only intended ponds would be Mayfield and that one. We would probably let Lac Pawnee just keep being great.
And then Eads at some point, or,
Yeah, if we get to that point, it really just depends on what the intended purpose is, right? Like, we know we have 2 fishing piers and we want to maintain that water for good recreational fishing. We're going to have to do something with the water and with the fish. If we're just letting it be open to the public as a great viewing area, and if you fish, that's great. So it's all about intended purpose.
okay.
So if we get to that point and that's part of the plan, then we probably would.
And maybe if we can get some more free fish, maybe we put some of those in Lac Pawnee.
Oh, yeah. Our scout, Sarah Leaders, I think they did a little assessment and his plan was to stock that pond as well.
Okay,
He added 10 fish habitats.
There's
underwater.
a lot of people in Milton that are looking for places for their
Yeah.
kids to fish.
For sure. And we
And
want to
it's
keep
pretty
improving
high, high demand, so.
that.
Sounds like a pond subcommittee to me.
I'll head
Are you
it up.
volunteering?
Well, Scott,
Jen and I got it.
I keep trying to recruit you to teach classes so I can expand what I offer, but
No, we can do some
Fly
fly
fishing.
fishing stuff.
with Scott, why not?
Okay, my only other question in regards to the legacy parking lot, when that project gets underway, do we have a ballpark timeline of what it'll look like, start to finish?
It's a great question. I'm going to say probably 9 months.
Okay. And do we have some sort of plan in place, like while we're using the park? I mean, it's not going to be shut down entirely, will it, during that time?
We haven't had a lot of discussions around that. I think the intention is that we're going to want to keep it open and
Right.
be able to provide the service, but we also want to be very cognizant about, pedestrian and heavy equipment conflicts. So what may happen is we may stage some of the construction,
Okay.
would be my anticipation. As we get further down the design, that's something that we will look at. and we'll engage Tom and his staff to make sure that they can support what we're pitching. But yeah, I think we're going to have to stage that.
And the good news is in the beginning months, we're trying to have it so we're ready for construction and breaking ground right after the spring season ends, this
Perfect.
upcoming spring. And so for those several months in the summer, we can shut it down.
Right, summer's
And they can,
slower
and they
for
can do all
sure.
their heavy
Yes.
then. And then if
Okay.
we need to partially open it for the fall, they still have time where they can just do what they need to do
Okay, great.
over the summer.
And so just another point of information. So we retain the same engineer to do both MCPP Active and Legacy. And given the constraints around MCPP Active with the swim meets and just the use of the tennis courts, we said advance the Legacy stuff. So again, the thinking is that we'll finish design in February. It takes about a month to put it out to bid, maybe another 3 weeks to a month to get it through the council process. So in theory, we'd be starting in probably April.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Okay,
It's a
great.
great update.
And Jen, thank you for bringing up the point about the fountains in the ponds on the passive park, because that actually helps aerate that water, improves the water quality. So for the fish, so.
And they just went in yesterday. Right? Yeah,
Awesome.
Oh,
yesterday.
they've already put them in?
Yeah, yesterday.
I
Wow.
have to walk down there. I mean, not walk down there.
Is
Yeah.
it that from your
As
drone?
you know, as you know, when DNR calls, they're like, "We're on our way." I didn't
On our
even get
way.
to go. I was in our staff luncheon. Oh, that was Tuesday
What's that?
when the fish dropped in.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. For
Okay, you bet.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have bounced around the agenda. We're back to committee reports. Is that where I think we're at?
Yes.
Awesome. In the off season here, I don't know that we'll have a lot to crank through. I will defer on a couple of items myself. So, Thomas, you might be able to tell me about Hopewell baseball.
Hopewell baseball in their winter season right now, so not active. At Bell or Legacy, they're doing their indoor stuff at the Windward Baseball Academy. But spring registration is open, and we're looking forward to getting the Hopewell assessments done the week of January 24th and 25th.
Awesome.
So they'll take a little break after that to form teams, get
Yep.
schedules in order, and begin practices shortly after.
Awesome. I will share with the board. I did have a Hopewell board meeting last month and brought together 7 former leaders of Hopewell for a little gathering.
Wow.
Going back, Morgan Dunn was the oldest, I think, or most senior member of the team. I think he's 25 years ago.
Oh,
So it was quite a
that's
little
awesome.
gathering. We had a lot of fun.
Love that.
And Jim was in town, so that was another treat. So
Fun. Love it.
a lot of gathering. But thanks, Thomas, for the update.
Mhm.
Eagle Sticks.
So not a ton to report, obviously off season, but numbers for spring are on track, looking very similar to last spring. So it's good.
North Georgia would be very similar. Registration's open, looks pretty good. But no, nothing's really going. They'll start that first week of January and on the boys' side.
Perfect. Without Stephanie, Thomas got a NFL football.
The only update I have is registration for tackle, flag, and cheer will open March 1st. Other than that, not much activity
Yep.
going on with football
Perfect.
season.
Thank you. Halftime sports.
Halftime sports, we are in, that's Ralph's, correct?
That's Ralph, yeah.
Yeah, we are in the midst of
Season.
our winter season. Things are going great. I'm in daily contact with Kim. He's squeezing practices and games in every gym possible around the city. But so far, it's a positive winter season. They're practicing this week and then taking a break until the new year
Yep.
to start things back up.
How was enrollment for the season?
I haven't got exact numbers, but we're probably looking at that probably 800 to 900,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range. I think we were around 850 in the previous winter season, so I think
Yeah.
we're on track to
Wow.
to stay right around there.
Big difference from what was it, 35 year one?
No kidding.
So it was
One was
It
60 or
wasn't-
70. It was low.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
How
Three-
long ago was that?
Huh?
How long ago was that? When did it start?
2015 probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 years.
10 years?
3 of my 4 are playing halftime, and so far it's been great. They're all loving it.
That's awesome.
It's good.
We sort of had a swim team update. Scott, got
Well,
anything else to add?
Stephanie, Beth, and Kate, the coach, met last night for the first time, believe it or not. So they've already started meeting, but it'll heat up in February and March with registration. So
Yep,
it should
awesome.
be, it'll run as smoothly as it always does.
Awesome. I hadn't talked to Terry, but I guess Scott's plan gave us a little update about what we're got going on at MCPP. So all good on that front. And then a whole bunch of staff-led updates. Youth Arts, Thomas or Matthew.
I'm gonna defer
Yeah,
to
go
Matthew.
ahead. Yeah, so spring registration is open for the either spring classes, and then summer registration will open on February 3rd.
Great. Adult programming.
For adult programming, we have our Rush Union Adult Soccer Program. They are in the middle of their winter season right now. They'll play that winter season until late February, take a little time off, and then spring starts March 2nd for the adult soccer. And for our adult petanque program over at Bell Memorial, they will be taking current registration for their spring intro to petanque class right now. That begins March 17th.
Great. Thank you. Camp Joyful Souls.
Yes, we are actually getting prepared to send our offer letter out to the camp manager sometime early next week. I've been working with HR on that, so we hope to get our manager on board first thing in January when we all return, and then she'll begin planning and recruiting staff.
Great. It's hard to believe it's coming that fast. Summer day camp.
Yes, so just get ready to start the recruiting for camp staff, and then registration for the summer camp will be in February.
Awesome. February, busy month around here. Lastly, outdoor recreational programming.
I have 2 presentations for you tonight, so that's most of my updates.
Awesome. Okay, that concludes.
It's a daytime meeting, I forgot.
Yeah. I know. I see no items for unfinished business, so we will move to new business item C, the consideration of an MOU with Birds, Georgia, to identify Birmingham Park and Lackawanna Preserve as part of the Georgia Birding Trail Network. Ranger Jen.
It's quite a mouthful, that whole title. So at the end, I look forward to Jason making a motion with that long.
I'll just second this time.
All right, so today we're going to talk about a potential MOU between Birds, Georgia and the city of Milton to be included in the Georgia Bird Trail. So in October, they emailed me asking, so they actually sent the MOU over that they wrote and asked if we'd be interested in having Birmingham Park and Lackawanna be added to the Georgia Bird Trail. And then we sent that over to legal. They approved that in November. And so today I'm here to seek a recommendation to move forward to mayor and council for an MOU with Birds, Georgia. Just a reminder, if it's been a minute, Birmingham Park is in the northwest part of the city. It's deemed our equestrian park for most. It does have 2 large meadows, a young and an old forest, which is why it attracts quite a variety of birds. And then in the southwest is Lackawanna Preserve, which is part of our green space. Large acreage, a big, large pond, young and mature forest, and actually probably due to the lack of development on most of that road, it's quite a haven for birds. I'm always looking for owls while I'm there. Never know. That's my favorite bird, in case you were wondering. Yeah, so Birds, Georgia, if you're not familiar with them, they're a nonprofit. They're member supported. I am a member of Birds, Georgia. And their goal is to create a wonderful environment for not just birds, but for humans to interact in a nice bird habitat. So ways they do that are habitat stewardship. They'll go out, remove invasive species. They do educational programs about the types of plants and trees that you'd want to plant if you're attracting birds. Project Safe Flight is, I'm sure in the month of migration, you hear a lot about turn your outdoor lights out because birds get disoriented during the migration. And that's just due to your outside lights. So lights facing up are always a no-no. We like lights facing down. And then they're also responsible for the campaign to put stickers on your windows, especially high rises. We know on the second floor, there's a cardinal that's obsessed with our window. And these dots really deter them, and it helps them identify that that's a no-go space to fly into. So if you have a really tall house or you work in a tall building, we always recommend you put those dots. Their education is top-notch. There's a lot of free resources for formal educators to teach about birds and habitats. In fact, I took their materials this year and went to Northwestern and taught a 6th grade science class all about bird habitats so that they could build bird houses for their property and attract the birds they're looking to see. It then turned into they were really inspired, and when I showed back up for another project that they invited me for, they could point out what types of birds would be in the bushes outside the building or what would be in the tall pines. So great job, Birds Georgia. And then what we're probably going to see more of with this MOU is the community science piece and guided hikes. So community science for birds would be, we pick a day or a week in the year and we say, we're going to count every plant, animal, bug that we see. We're going to document it, and it goes into a database, and actual scientists and biologists use that information to track where we might be missing a species or where they're coming back. Bird trails, which is what we're here to talk about. There's several across the US. I found 2 that were just easy to look at and easy to read. The one on the left, Florida, you can see is not a typical trail. There's quite a few parks and nature centers that are notated on here that would be great places for you to bird watch. Delaware has more of a trail. I anticipate Georgia to look more like the Florida picture, where visitors or residents would want to go on a birding adventure, and they would probably live a whole life before they could visit all the places in Georgia that would have birds. So the background to building a birding trail is it's really a opportunity to invest in ecotourism. So if you've ever gone to the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone, where you're going to learn a little bit about the ecology or the history, that's ecotourism. You're spending money to go do things in nature. And so birding is also part of ecotourism, and it's an opportunity for places like Milton to attract those that are here to see the wonderful things that Milton has to offer. And I love this quote. I put it at the bottom. It's on their website. The bird trail's more than a map. It's just an opportunity for people to connect and learn something new. So the video I'm going to show you, Sally Sears, if you've been around long enough, she's a longtime news reporter, and she then turned into a conservationist. She's heavily involved in Birds Georgia, and actually is the founder of the naturalist program that I graduated from this past year. So Sally's old school, and I absolutely love being a part of her team. But she did a little video to promote
Don't let a
Birds
great
Georgia.
attraction just fly away. Feather your nest with the tourist dollars birds are bringing all over Georgia.
Money talks.
That is UGA's political scientist, Charles Bullock.
Now, here is already a site within your county where people want to come and see these things, and they bring money.
$10 billion each year. $10 billion. Birds Georgia's new statewide birding trail is sending birders all over Georgia. Support the trail and let them nest near you.
Thanks, Sally. I feel like that's how you end that. Thanks, Sally. So during this process and doing a little bit of research, I found that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife put out a report that talked about how ecotourism is on the rise, and especially after COVID, people going outside and taking on middle-age hobbies that we have, like birding. And what I think is most notable on this page is that it's the fastest growing tourism for Georgia. So I think a lot of times we think of the barrier islands and we go down to Cumberland or Jekyll to have a nature experience, or the mountains, but actually the Piedmont region, which is what we live in right now, has quite a bit to offer, especially in bird diversity, because you have the woodlands, you're at the foothills of the mountains. So it's just an opportunity for Milton to engage in this ever-growing ecotourism. So the MOU, to break it down, you should have 2 copies. There's one for each park, but they're the same MOU. There's no money exchange, so this is a free opportunity for Milton to engage. But essentially what we do is keep doing what we're great at, and that's maintaining our parks and keeping them open to the public. And then Birds Georgia sends us a really wonderful sign. That's the picture right there.
Don't let a
That
great
logo.
attraction.
Thanks, Sally. They'll also, part of the MOU agreement is that they're going to have the opportunity to collaborate on guided hikes or those bio blitzes. So we're welcoming them in as a partner. And then that they'll update and keep our information on their GIS mapping page. So it's a very simple MOU. It's 1 page. But we, yeah. So that's that.
Thanks, Jen. Questions?
I think it sounds great.
Yeah, agreed. I love it.
I would guess there would be plans to expand it as other properties come online.
Yeah, that's a good question. So they work with both private landowners and public landowners, because there's quite a bit of land owned by private folks that they want to welcome the public onto their land. So they're going to have a multi-year rollout of the trail. So we could end up in the first iteration with these 2 parks, but you're absolutely right. I think Providence Park or MCPP would be great options.
The back half, if that ever, I mean,
Yeah,
that's a great,
that's right.
because it's not as wide open.
Yeah. And if we keep investing in pollinator meadows and we keep our water clean, we're just going to continue to attract them.
I think it's great.
Sweet.
Other thoughts, questions? Somebody want to make a motion?
I love this.
Smiling at Jen.
To approve AC.
To approve what we just
I'll
talked
make a
about.
motion that staff
GBT.
continues to move forward with the MOU with Birds Georgia in our birding trail.
Nailed it.
I will
Motion by
second
Morgan.
that motion.
Second by Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And hearing none? Thanks,
Waiting
Jen.
for Jason
got
to
it.
throw in
Good luck.
his I second.
Awesome. Okay, next item, a new business, item D, amendment of the PRAB meeting schedule for 2026.
Yeah, so
Um,
in October's meeting, we did approve the calendar for 2026. We did encounter a conflict with the Planning Commission in the November timeframe. And so I volunteered that we could probably just move that meeting up a week. It gets us a little further from Thanksgiving anyhow. So moving the meeting to the 12th of November from the 19th is what I am asking for approval on, and then we will we'll make all the moves on the website and everything, get it all posted. But that's it for this agenda item. And we'd keep it at 6 p.m.
Simple request.
Yes.
Questions for Tom? Otherwise, let's have a motion.
I will make a motion to move the November 2026 PRAB meeting from the 19th to the 12th.
Motion by Jason,
I'll second that.
second by Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Your wish,
And
Tom.
you'll re-email that out.
Now moving to item 9, city staff reports. Item B, Birmingham Park Trail Cleanup Day update.
Well, I was going to sign in to give you guys a visual. I might be able to. Sorry, this shouldn't have been an afterthought. Okay, so I'll tee up that Birmingham Park Trail Day has been determined. It's going to be at the end of February. This year, we're going to do things a little bit different. Every year, we get better and better and better as more people want to be a part of improving Birmingham Park. This year, to streamline things, Scott, as you know, you've been, we're going to run trail crews because last year, 60 people, my phone was blowing up the whole time. And you have some inexperienced people with the park that don't exactly know where they are in the middle of that. So this year we'll have trail crews, and we're looking for people to lead those trail crews. So your only experience needed to lead a trail crew is just you can learn your path. That's it. And on those trail crews, you'll have somebody with power tools, so chainsaw or pole saw, that they bring themselves. And then you'll have people marking the trails, continuing to improve our wayfind signage. And then you also will have people that are moving debris off of the trail and clearing it up on the sides and on down below. So you can be any one of those people if you want to participate this year. Scott graciously said he would love to be a part of it, and he asked that I come today and welcome you guys to that February 28th, I think.
Sounds right.
At 8 a.m., and we usually work until about 11. And if you're not able to participate, which is okay, we'd love for you to send it out to any of your teens or any groups that you're part of, any of the athletic groups. Here we go. I've got it. You can switch over. Can you guys see that on your computer?
There we go.
Yeah. So this is what the Sign Up Genius looks like. Should have hit your city inbox. Look at that. Stewart's joining us. He's the trail guy.
Mhm.
And then a couple folks I know that will probably have our equestrian committee out there doing what they do. And we have a couple longtime residents in that area. Mary Kronk has agreed to be a trail crew. So yeah, I'll make sure this hits your inbox again. You can think about it in the new year.
Yep. It's usually a pretty good day in February. The weather's been great the last few years. It's
Yeah.
not too cold. It's not too hot.
Yeah.
The equestrian team shows up a little bit, folks from that committee. So yeah, it's a great day in a big park. So I'd encourage y'all or your programs to come out and join us. Many hands make light work.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, item C, community outreach update.
Hello, everybody. Long time no see. I think the last time I was here was May, maybe. Sorry. You know, it's fine. So I'm not going to bore you with all 3,000 events that we did in the past 4 months, but we did do 10 events in 4 months. Our two new ones that we discussed back in May were Last Wash Puppy Bash, which was truly the cutest thing in the entire world. We had about 20 dogs show up and just ramping around that pool. It was adorable. We hosted Milton Restaurant Week as well. And from what I've heard from a lot of restaurants, it also was a pretty good success. The only event that we have left is Tea Party with Mrs. Claus. It's happening right here Monday at 9:00. When we released tickets, we were sold out in 17 minutes.
Whoa.
So big stuff, very exciting. And that will wrap up our 2025 event calendar. We are still solidifying our 2026 dates. We're having an issue with the location for our egg hunt. Dates wise, we'll figure it out as we always do. But we'll be hosting all the same events, but we are adding 2 World Cup watch parties that will be happening in partnership with the Green at Crab Apple Market, as well as Rush Union, of course. We're working with Rush Union to figure out which matches we should be doing. I know maybe 1% about soccer. I know that they're goals, they're not touchdowns. So I'm going to refer to them and let them tell us which matches, but it'll be a great event. We have a 17-foot tall screen that we just have rented from Bounce House Atlanta. Incredible sound, incredible viewing quality. So while it will be hot as Hades, we would love for you guys to join us for hopefully what will be a huge event. Our next event that we're doing is State of the City, which is on January 28th, right here at City Hall. You all should have received a save the date. If not, you are invited. You will receive a formal invitation as well that January. And then let's see, last up on the community outreach side, the Milton Community Tree, as you can see here, is from Summit Hill. This is our second year running this, and it's very cute to get the elementary schools involved in having them create ornaments for something that lives here for a few days. We just completed Operation Milton Christmas within our staff. We work with social workers from Milton schools, and we pick a few families and fulfill their wish list. So they just picked all of those gifts up yesterday. So one of my favorite days because I also get to go shopping the day before and fill in the gaps. And last up, we did all of our Santa response letters. I believe our volunteers responded to 140 letters.
Wow.
I get 10 volunteers and they,
Wow.
it's a lot, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's my little update for you guys.
Awesome. Thank
Questions,
you.
comments, concerns?
Well, my girls and I volunteered at the puppy splash at the end of the summer. It was so much fun and so great watching those dogs have the best time ever. In fact, a bunch of people who I was talking with after that event didn't know about it. Of course, just didn't read or didn't see, but I think it'll grow for next year.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The pictures were great. I saw that part I saw.
Adorable.
Super.
Thank you.
Awesome. Next item is other business, number 10. Anybody have any other business? Then I'll get to share some.
Oh.
So today is my last meeting. I have retired and are moving to Florida early next year. So my sponsor, Councilman Jacobus, has identified a replacement for me who will come in January. So it has been a pleasure to work with all of you as well as with staff over these last many years. I think it's 15 as we count them all up. So bittersweet to walk away. I've sat in this chair for a long time.
It's literally 15 full years.
Full years, yeah, yeah.
That's incredible.
And so I thank you all for your teamwork and cooperation. Everybody here, staff, residents, and my council park board members. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you for 15 years of service and
Right.
for leading this board for so long.
Congrats.
Sometimes
to
it's
you.
just
Service goes beyond that too.
Sometimes it's just last man standing.
It's been part of HYA since what, 2003? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it
Ish?
might be.
Yeah.
It might be. My son started baseball when he was 4. So that would be 2003.
That's incredible.
So yeah, been a long time in this recreation world. And I feel confidence in really good hands as I've watched in the last few years and again today. So a lot of confidence. I will enjoy watching meetings from Florida.
Lucky
I'll
you.
send my comments in the chat. We'll make sure we turn that on. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure and a thrill. So I'm looking forward to it.
From a staff perspective, we appreciate all the time you put in. It's been a pleasure working with you on various issues, items, topics. You're going to be missed tremendously by staff.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. My pleasure.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
That's enough other business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Jason,
I'll second.
second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.